And we're live on Friday. The sun came out. It's Father's Day weekend. Beautiful San Diego, California. I'm Ryan, and that's Haley. And today we're talking about momentum, the big mo.
The big mo.
How do we get it? How do we keep it? What is it?
Yeah, well, we wanted to kind of bring it up because we're definitely feeling that they're starting to create that snowball effect. Like once that momentum's going, we're feeling it on our team. That's why we're so hyped. We're like, we got the momentum, we got the big mo right now. But you know, it really, how does that start? Well, it didn't start overnight. Like we didn't wake up and I wasn't like, oh, today's the day I'm motivated. Because trust me, Ryan, they know on the team, they hit my text. They know there are days where I'm like, this is not today. Not today. Restart.
Reframe. But no, like momentum, doing processes over time. I think that the actual equation that I've seen is consistent effort over time equals momentum. And it's weird. It's like, you know the wind, right? You see it in the trees, but you can't grasp it, you can't hold it, you can't package it and own it. It's just kind of one of those fleeting things. That's kind of like how momentum is. You do the work, head down, you're grinding it out. We've all been grinding it out for the last 18 to 36 to 54 months in real estate in San Diego. And you look up every once in a while and you're like, okay, I'm doing all the things and I'm getting results and the market is giving me, like, you know, reflecting back to me my efforts, and then you're in momentum and you're feeling it, you're in the flow. It's such a great place to be.
It really is, and we make this mistake, and I know I've mentioned this on here before, but it happens with all of us where it's like, you know, I'm not super motivated to go to the gym. I don't want to go. Nobody has, like, the motivation to go. I mean, some people do. I bless you for having the motivation.
If you're that person,
yes.
Good on you.
Most of us in sales aren't motivated to wake up and bang 100 calls or get kicked in the face 50 times to be told F off, they're good with their title person. Like, most of us aren't super jazzed up to do that. But when we wake up and we can have that discipline and just get into the action of doing it, that's where you build up the momentum. And I know for us, this happens with phone calls where we're like, okay, we just need to get through the first 10 calls. Like, let's just start, let's put our head down, and then you start warming up and you start having great conversations. People are receptive, people are asking questions, people have new orders to open. Somebody has 10 new listings coming up and you're like,
let's go.
And then you have that momentum built, and then the next 10, 20, 15 calls fly by because you're in such a flow and such a rhythm. Then you have the momentum, and that's when we say, when you have that big mo, don't let it go.
I'm telling you, because you get it, and now what gets you there is rarely does motivation precede the action. Rarely does the payoff and the production precede the work. So getting into process, doing the work, day in, day out. Success is very boring. Success is not this rock star lifestyle, flying here, jetting over there. It's about doing consistent effort over time, which can be kind of like, you know, boring.
It can be daily routines of the same task and doing those same things, but to Ryan's point, those consistent efforts over time equal consistent results.
And you know, when the results are a little flighty, when the feedback you're getting from the market, I mean, we're seeing everything from price improvements, aka reductions, to things that are 200, 300,000 over asking. So it's all over the board, right? I mean, there's tons of buyers over here, there's no buyers over there.
And there's properties sitting for like 30 plus days.
Like,
and
who can explain it, right? And so when the results are like haphazard and chaotic, you have to lean back into the effort and the action and stay in action, because when you get into action, you check a couple boxes, you get a little dopamine hit, you're kind of feeling like, whoa, okay, this feels good. Your body's like, this is good.
Builds the confidence for yourself.
You get a little bit of self-concept, and sometimes when you're flailing about, you're like, what do? I don't know what to do. Then your routine says, come back to doing the things that have given you these deals previously. So like for us, a lot of it is calling through the openings, calling to check in on files, calling on closed files, calling clients that we're like family with, you know, that we're definitely not going to be told to fuck off, right? Unless we catch them in like a meeting or something. And warm up to some of the colder stuff, and then into the big whale calls that are the big scary calls, right? And so what are your processes? Because you could start there. Like, the success leaves clues, and if you look back at your 10, 20, last 30 deals, whatever it is, whatever time frame that covers, and say, how did I get this one? You're going to notice a pattern. You're going to notice an activity that's associated with that successful result that you can go and replicate that. You can just start there where you know it's going to work and prime the pump. And who knows where that takes you, because a lot of times the only problem with momentum is there's a flip side. Right? There's like a high, and then you come off that.
Yeah.
Like the sugar high, and you're like, oh, and now you're all of a sudden, where did it go?
It's
gone.
It's gone. That's where it went. Yeah. Oh, well, and it's so true how, to find your metrics, find your numbers, which we talk about all the time, because it just takes the brain out of it. You don't have to be like, well, maybe today I'll make this many calls and I'll do this many. It's like, no, every day exactly the task that you have to do to get the results that you're wanting to get. And we hear it all the time, like, as you're saying, success is not some like grandiose arrival that you've made it. People make the joke every day, I was an overnight success of 20 plus years. Exactly. And we have to kind of remember that, like, maybe today is not going to be the day where we get on the phone and make our 30 calls and not we get a bunch of orders, but we know we have to do that every day, because there's going to be the one day where we make those calls and every call it's like, oh shit, another order. It's like writing orders right now, right? But there's other days where it doesn't feel like that, and it feels like you're barely getting one foot in front of the other. But that's the whole point with the consistency of the momentum. It's because that's the slow snowball effect in the beginning, and then it gets bigger and faster, and then you're like, oh shit, I'm on call 35 and this feels like I'm just rolling now.
Oh man, I tell you, and then we have this idea of like, oh, I'm gonna have this perfect call session, or I'm gonna have these weeks that I string together that are perfect for prospecting, perfect deals, all these escrows popping out of nowhere. And in reality, it's like, look, people are graduating, people get married, life happens, kids get sick, taking care of parents. It's messy. There's no like structured, strict thing that it's all going to fit into a nice little box all the time. We're trying to do outreach and run business and do the fulfillment on a business. All the while, life is pulling us in all these different directions. So there's just acceptance of it. Things are messy. Nothing is ever just as clean as it can be. Some calls we make in the parking lot at Starbucks in between meetings.
Yep.
Some calls we make with the computer, ready with all access to everything. But the key is you just do the thing. Just keep the activity, keep the number, keep the activity, and you can keep the ball rolling forward and have progress. On the worst days, some progress. On the best days, mad momentum, right? But you can't really generally get to that mad momentum phase if you're not grinding through some of the bad days.
Well, and like we say this all the time too, it's easier to stay fit than it is to get fit. It's easier to keep the ball rolling and the momentum going other than starting where the ball's dead stopped and you have to push it to get it started. It's like, if anybody's gone for like a week or 2 week vacation and you don't go to the, I'm not one of the people that like to work out when I'm on vacation, like this guy who's still like will go run 5 miles on the beach. I'm like, I want to sleep with my mimosa waking up next to it, okay? But when you take that kind of time off, like for me, I was gone from Wednesday to like a Wednesday night to a Monday morning. I went to like the gym at the like hotel for a little bit, but going back to it was so much harder to get back into it. And I was like, I had to push myself to be like, just fucking go, like just do it, just get up, just get to the gym. And now I'm back in my routine of going back into the gym in the morning. So it just makes it so much harder to build back up that routine, even though it was like 4 days. Like, so it's really hard once you slip out of the momentum to get it back. And so that's why we're big proponents of just keeping that one oar in the water at all times. Like
when in doubt, there's a reason cliches become cliches, right? When in doubt, what? Just do the thing.
Just do it.
Just do it. And I put on our story today, Amelia Earhart, right? Respected, out of San Diego, but flew out of San Diego, I think, when she did the around the world thing. But she says the best way to do it is to just do it. And that's Amelia Earhart. And I couldn't agree more. When in doubt, in here, the best thing is to get out of here where we overthink, we have lack of self-confidence, we can talk ourselves out of anything.
Oh, yeah.
The amygdala is identifying all these different threats, and we're like, no, I don't want to be rejected, I don't want, and then you don't leave the bed, right? So when in doubt, just do it. Just get into action. And in the action, in the work, the solution reveals itself. In the obstacle is the solution to the obstacle. But you can't get there if you don't get into the fray and into action and just take the first step of getting into the solution.
Well, and that's where you build up that momentum. Is just by taking that first step into getting into the action. Because that first step is always the hardest, you know?
Right.
I mean, who is it, Sheryl Crow? The first cut is the deepest?
Yes.
Like, what, you know? Like, that's
I'm here
always...
for Sheryl Crow.
What happened to her? What happened to her? Anyways.
Soak in the sun.
But the first step is always the hardest. Getting that first step out of bed, always the hardest to do, you know? But once you get that first step up, you get the bed made, you get your teeth brushed, you start getting into the flow, you're like, all right, I guess the day isn't going anywhere. It's happening. And then you get into the flow of your day. And then you have your routines down and you know your metrics. So we understand that it's always hard to take that first step, the initial step. But that's one of the most important ones because then you get into the action. That's where you find the momentum, and that's where you start to see results.
Oh, so good. Yeah, and our team, like, look, we're not feeling it every day.
No.
But we know that people are going to be calling, that their deals are going to have issues. If you can't get out of it, you might as well get into it. And it's kind of nerdy, right? It's kind of like, ooh, okay. But it still works when you get dorky about it and you mark and write down everybody you talk to. And next thing, 3 calls turns into 13, turns into like, oh my gosh, I might hit 25, and maybe get a 50 burger. Like, that gets exciting. So if you can't get out of it, get into it. You've got to do some work to produce some result, right? There's cause and effect. You know, all of that stuff. So I just think that we are stoked to be in some form of momentum in this market, in our numbers that we're tracking, and in our activities. And I don't know if it's the sun coming out, I don't know if it's Friday.
It might be the sun. I think it might be the sun because I know that weather affects my mood. But I
it has been London a while.
We were like pushing the ball uphill. It was like an uphill push every day. We were pushing up. And now it feels like we're kind of getting to that top point where the ball's just going to start rolling on its own.
You know, and it's a good point because, like, when you're in the middle of it, you don't want to, this too shall pass, right? And when you're at the mountaintop and it's sunny and it's Friday, this too shall pass too. Talk to us in 2 weeks. We're like, oh. So either way, we're going to do what we're going to do, and we're going to get that momentum in a tailwind, and it's going to keep you and sustain you on the days you don't want to. So when you find that momentum, definitely stay in it. Do all the activities. If you are saying, what activities? Like, we have some thoughts on that.
Yes.
Like, we have flyer after flyer after flyer of activities that we work with single operators to massive teams and brokerages to help them find the activities that are most effective at moving the needle in realtors' business throughout the state, really.
Yeah, I mean, we even for ourselves have a daily checklist that we've been able to turn it in to help our realtors with and our lender partners and everybody in this, really in sales in general, of having a daily checklist of knowing I need to do at least these things and then I can get on with my day. And then usually you hit your boxes and you're like, oh, I can do more. I got more gas in the tank. There's more in the tank.
I can do a couple more sets.
Yeah, so hit us up for those ideas, those tactics on, you know, we have morning rituals, our morning routines. We have all of that pretty, I would say Ryan has really ratcheted down. I'm pretty ratcheted down. But we have tons of ideas to be able to help with it. And if you do need a little motivational post or a little bump or a little pep in your step, give us a call because we might need one too. And I know that when I'm able to help someone else out, it usually helps me get out of my shit, and then I feel a lot better too.
Yeah,
so
do it together. You can't do it alone, man. Find an accountability buddy. Find your tribe. And find a mastermind, people that drive you, people that have something you want, so they propel you to do more of what you know you need to do.
And if you don't have that, call us. Yeah. We got you.
We got you. We'll hold you pleasantly accountable. So that's what we got on a beautiful Friday in San Diego. Hold on to that momentum. Happy Father's Day, everybody.
Day, yep. And I'm Haley.
I'm Ryan. See you next time.
Bye.